Hi, this is David Mills with the Story Collaborative. I'm joined by Amy Alexander, and we're going to be talking today about what's next in home care, marketing, and sales. Amy, why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. I am our creative director here at Story Collaborative, and my role and my goal is to make sure that everything from the person answering the phone, like your receptionist, all the way to the logo and the colors and everything in between feels unified and is telling the same brand story. And it's a really fun job. We have a great time.
Great. Well, we're going to have some fun today talking about all the changes that have happened in home care marketing. I'm the Chief Growth Officer here at Story, and my role is to monitor trends and make sure that we're applying them to all of those we work with as well as our own company. And there's been some big changes in home care marketing. So we're going to give you today some tips and some ideas about how to do better at home care marketing, even in the middle of the current environment. So let's share our screen so that people can see the slides. And these slides will be available as a download as well, so you don't have to worry about being able to take notes. So hopefully you can see our screen now. We're going to talk now about home care sales and marketing and what's next in 2020 and beyond.
Ooh, been a hard year, we know.
It has been.
Let's talk about what that means. So let's first start with what's out. The first thing that's out, and we're all sort of aware of this, is in-person closing. This was sort of forced upon us, right? We were all sort of launched into an environment where everyone was virtual and digital, and there was a ton of transition that had to happen for everybody at the same time. But the reality is that as we move forward and as states start to open back up, there is still going to be people that are nervous, that are scared. They're going to be a little bit more used to the ability to get answers digitally. And so kind of the entire way people are approaching this has shifted. And so that means that we can no longer rely upon an in-person closing alone. We have to get digital, we have to get virtual, we have to get ahead and answer people's questions in a different way. The next thing that's out is using difficult video meeting tools. We've all had these bad experiences, but especially in home care, even if you're meeting with, a senior as well as an adult sibling or adult child, that adult child still has to get their parents sitting down. They have to get everyone comfortable. They've got to navigate the video call. It's a lot and it's stressful. And so we need to make sure that the video tools we're using are very, very low tech and not too complicated. And I'm sure that's something that you already have on your mind, but remember just how important it is at this point. What else is out is ignoring the needs of relatives. Now, we know that you guys don't ignore relatives, and they are part of the decision-making process, but the truth is that they're even more involved now in this moment and in our future than they might have been before. They're also the ones that are at home at 11 o'clock at night doing research and trying to find answers to their questions and trying to navigate pricing and what the needs of their loved one are. And so we need to be answering their questions and addressing their needs just as much as we're addressing the needs of the person that actually is going to receive the home care. The last thing is failing to provide pricing. It can be very touchy. It's a very touchy subject to put up your price list and say, this is what we charge, because we're afraid that we're going to lose people. But whether or not you are providing line itemed prices or you are simply addressing what makes costs go up and down and why it is you're providing more value or what the overarching home care environment of cost looks like, you somehow have to address it. And so we believe that pathway to pricing, even if you have that behind like a gate where someone has to give their email and name, it's just really crucial. Dave, you want to talk about this? People also ask little graphic we have in here.
Sure. So you can look around on the internet and you can look at home care websites across the country, and you'll see there's a mixed bag about whether pricing is present. But here's the fact. The more that people are online, the more that their experiences kind of all meld together. So what people expect from the airline industry and from the restaurants nearby and from shopping online, they're now expecting of home care websites. And that means that they want to know how much things cost. It's a legitimate and important question. So here's the truth. If you don't tell them, someone else will. And I just put into Google how much does home care services cost. And in addition to home care websites, the whole box pops up that Google is serving that has all kinds of answers to that question. And people are going to answer the question. So you're much better off addressing the question yourself, giving people information about pricing, at least in a range of pricing, and also telling them what shapes pricing in your industry. Why do things cost what they cost? What goes into that? How is that important for caregiver retention? Because we want to keep that caregiver in the home. We don't want to have to change them over and over again. So that's the reason this box is here, to show you that people are going to find the answer whether you give it to them or not.
The other thing to remember is that, marketing is all about building trust. And we often as a business think of ourselves as the hero of the story we're telling. But the reality is that the customer and the people you're serving, they're the heroes and you are a guide. And so talking about pricing is all about coming alongside someone as a trusted advisor and saying, here's what the industry looks like, and here's what you should start to budget for. And here's why something might cost more or less. And here's why you should stay away from the bottom of the line. And here's why the top of the line might be price gouging. And whatever the conversation is that you need to have with them, you can do that in a series of articles or even just one article. But thinking of yourself as a guide and a trusted advisor is really the place, that's the mindset you want to be in when you start talking about pricing. Not about selling. It's about offering advice.
That's great. Building that trust is so important.
Yeah, it's crucial. So let's talk now about the top 5 actions you should be taking now as you move forward into this COVID era. The first, of course, is trust building. Like I said, marketing has always been about trust building, and so is sales, of course. You know your sales teams, and how important that is. But it's becoming even more crucial, especially when we start talking about home care. For obvious reasons, you're bringing people into your home you don't know that well, and you're exposing them to your loved ones, many of whom are at a higher risk for contracting something like COVID. So the trust has got to be there, and it has to start very early. And so here's the ways that we recommend you do that. First, providing value before you make an ask. And what that means is you as an agency are a wealth of knowledge, right? Like you know a ton about this. And when someone's out there doing research and trying to figure out what they need and where to go and who they can trust, you are a guide, right? So you can provide a ton of knowledge to them at a very early stage. You can develop downloads and checklists and the top 10 questions they should be asking as they interview people, and planning guides. And there's all kinds of assets you could develop and all kinds of great articles, all of which can be free, that you can send to people and have available on your website. You can put them on your social so that you begin building that trust and providing value long before you're sitting in someone's kitchen at the table trying to sign a contract. The next thing is answering as many questions as possible upfront before a sales call. If you start thinking about all the questions like that people ask on a sales call every single time, your top 10, 20, 30 questions that you're constantly being asked, get those in articles on your website. Before COVID, it was actually estimated that people, upwards of 70% of their decision was made before they even talk to a salesperson, which is a lot. We're not people that go into Sears anymore and walk up to the salesperson and say, tell me everything you know about dishwashers, sell me one. No, we do a ton of research. We're up late or we're up early or we're on the train Google searching and we're price comparing and we're looking at features and we're reading reviews. And then we go to Sears and we know which one we're going to buy already. And the only difference might be if there's a sale. You might buy the other model because there was a sale on it. So people are doing the same thing in every industry. That includes home care. And so if you can be that trusted advisor when people are asking these questions and you're the one answering them, that is the perfect place to be so that you can set yourself up to get the sales call.
I think it's important not to leave that to some kind of outside referral service to answer people's questions.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I think this, when most, home care is home care in the sense that it's spending time in helping someone out in a home setting. So it's not that different, but answering lots of people's questions, that is a big differentiator. And people can see that you really are transparent and that you want to educate them about what they need to know to get good quality home care.
Absolutely. It's really easy to shy away from the difficult topics or, not answer the questions in an article that, sometimes make people uncomfortable. And that's just not where you want to go because you want your sales team to be spending time with qualified leads. And so if people can pre-qualify themselves, if they come educated to that sales conversation, how much more efficient will your sales team be? You're not going to lose people you might have convinced. That's just not going to happen. Instead, you're going to build trust with people you might have lost. So the next item is going to be reviews. Reviews, Dave, I think you said something about it needing to have about 40 good reviews to cancel out a bad one.
That's right. It takes at least 40 good reviews to negate the impact of what happens with a negative review. So you need a lot of reviews.
Yeah, so whatever you can do to build the constant process of asking for reviews from current customers and finding ways to do that in a graceful way. Your reviews are important. You can't ignore them. And we all, as consumers, we all use reviews, right? And it's going to be the same thing for your agency. You also need to complete your Google My Business listing. When it comes to SEO and especially local search, if someone searches home care near me, you want to pop up. If you don't have your Google My Business listing completed and live, you're not going to show up. And so Google rewards itself, obviously. This is its own local listing resource. And so if you're in there, then you're going to pop up, and it's really, really important. The last thing is clear COVID-19 information. You need to show your expertise and you need to show that you're prepared. This seems like an obvious topic, but it's important that you go beyond the sort of canned, in these unprecedented times, we care more about your safety, blah, blah, blah. People are beyond that. What they want to see is your bulleted, itemized, actionable list of what you're doing. Is your team prepared? And what does it mean for someone that's coming into my home when I'm trying to keep my mom or my dad safe? Anything else you want to add?
I'm sorry, Amy. I was just saying that people are bringing with them kind of all the fears they have about this disease, all the things they've heard about institutional care and the dangers of it. So they're bringing all that stuff to the home care conversation. So the more information you give them, the better off you are.
Yeah, absolutely. So Dave, talk to us about this kind of change in search.
Right. So, this gives you just a good picture of just how much importance it has for you to be talking about COVID issues, not just putting up a little, pop up on your homepage. You can see in the red line, here's the COVID searches, and then the blue line is the home care searches. So if you want people to find you, just put it very simply. If you want people to find you, and when they find you, you know what they're interested in. They want to know, how are you dealing with COVID? How have you addressed that issue? And are you really prepared to help them? And what are the details? So this is a huge difference when it comes to both your organic search as well as everything else you're doing. People want to know the answer to this.
Yeah, we're actually helping a private school right now with doing some Facebook ads. And interestingly, we recommended that they put up their COVID reopening plan. They had just launched it. It was in PDF form. It was available to the public. And so we have a Facebook ad that goes to a landing page and someone can give their name and email and download that reopening plan for free. And the conversion rate on the landing page is like upwards of 20%, which is incredibly high. You're usually hoping for like maybe a 6% conversion on a landing page. And so 20% is just extremely high, which means that not only were people converting a lot from the Facebook ad, which is great, they're very qualified. They all want to know, what is this private school doing? And so you can do the same thing. It's going to be a great topic for you. Let's talk about the second most important thing we can be doing.
And it's important to really stay top of mind. Of course, people are doing different things now than they were before. Of course, and this situation is evolving all the time. But here's some ideas about how to stay top of mind without spending a fortune. The first one is to put content on social media that has real value. So this is not just running ads about yourself on your own Facebook. This is putting out things that actually have value for people. And you can boost those or add money to them with not too much expense. And then what goes with that is telling stories about caregivers and your recipients on Facebook or on Instagram. These stories will have tremendous value. They have the potential to be viral. The truth is people don't really want to hear about your brand. They want to hear the stories about interactions with caregivers, the interesting history of folks that you're caring for. And those things have really big impact. In the end, they want to know that you are about them. You're about that person that you're caring for. And telling stories proves that. Also, anywhere that you can use videos that are informal, of course, without violating someone's confidentiality or privacy, is going to make a huge impact. So the use of your cell phone as a video tool is super powerful on social media. The more you can do that, interviewing folks, letting people talk about their experience, that's going to make a huge difference. It's going to multiply the impact everywhere you use it. Now, community events have changed, of course, and of course, they're going to come back. But in the meantime, make sure you're continuing to attend the virtual community events and still show up, still be a sponsor, still be engaged. You can even host one yourself, and they still are powerful activities. And the last thing is, don't neglect your email list. Email continues to be a powerful marketing tool. And as Amy mentioned, by sharing information that's valuable, people will give you their email address. You can collect it for a download, and then you're going to build a list that has really big impact. That list will get great conversions, and you don't want to neglect that.
We get the question often about email. Does it really still work? I don't open marketing emails. No one else does, right? But amazingly, email continues to be like a crucial asset. And as Dave said, it's one of the least costly assets because it's something you own, this list, as long as you sort of keep it alive and you're making sure that you're not creating spam. It's an incredibly important and high converting way to get people's attention.
And the trick, with email is don't just send information out about yourself. Don't allow your email list to be self-serving. Keep the consumer and your customer in the front of your mind. Give them value in those emails. Answer questions. Give them things they can use. Tell great stories. Don't let them be boring. Because you're up against people that are spending a fortune to try and sell shoes and cars. And their ads and email are not boring. So make sure yours are really valuable as well.
Great advice. So number 3, it's important that you're being effective in digital ads. That maybe goes without saying that if you're going to use digital ads, you should be effective, but it's also something easy to forget. So let's talk about what that means. Digital ads are the top lead source in the US. They sit somewhere around 22 to 28% of where US companies are getting their leads. So we are a highly connected country, and we are converting in our digital ads. It's important that your digital ads, as they're effective, in order to be effective, that they are going to landing pages. You never want to pay digital ads to go to your homepage or to your contact page. So it's important that we call this AdSense, but the ad that you build needs to look and feel and have the same scent as the place it goes. So using the same headlines on the top of your landing page, using similar conversational language, using same terms, the same topics, all of that stuff. When someone clicks through from your Facebook ad or your pay-per-click ad, it needs to go to a landing page that mimics that same thing. So someone knows, yes, this was in fact where I meant to go. Also note that with digital ads, you want to avoid places like LinkedIn, especially with home care. It's just not the right place for you. It's incredibly easy to blow a ton of money on LinkedIn for absolutely no return. Very complicated advertising platform. So you really want to stick with Google pay-per-click, Facebook, Instagram, is easily tied into your Facebook ads manager. And that's a place where you can play with a little bit of money and leverage a little bit of money and get some good return.
You know, Amy, for home care, digital ads, pay-per-click, and Facebook really do make up between 22 and 28% of all the leads nationally, according to the most recent research. So it really is significant. And probably for LinkedIn, probably the only exception I would say for LinkedIn would be if you're trying to build referral relationships with case managers, especially across a bigger area, probably not locally necessarily, but a bigger area, you might want to try some LinkedIn ads, but only for that purpose, not as a consumer focused activity, because it is very expensive per click.
And you'll have to remember that your LinkedIn ads are going to be essentially about brand awareness. So you're not going to get a ton of activity. You're not going to get a lot of people clicking. It's really about having your name and your brand in front of people's face multiple times, which certainly has its own purpose and advantage. Remember to be active on your Google My Business. You can't just build your Google My Business listing, launch it, and then let it live and sit. You have to go in there, go in once a week, grab a Facebook post, paste it into your Google update. They also have a new section just for COVID updates. You can update, especially the update section, but the COVID, here and there, keep it active. Google rewards itself. So because Google My Business is its own listing and a resource platform, if it's got stuff to give when someone searches, it's going to prefer that over other things. That's what makes it so important. Go ahead, Dave.
Also, there are some terms that you are going to use for search on pay-per-click. They're going to actually trigger a local search, and people are going to see your Google My Business listing. And so, for instance, if you don't have recent photos in there and recent posts, then what happens is that someone else's information will creep up into your listing. So the more you fill that out, not only does Google see that you're active there, but when people find it, because they're going to, even in the PPC process, they're going to see that you've got a lot going on, and you're not going to have these alternative providers creeping up into your GMB space. So that's important.
It is important to actually have a digital ad budget. When we think about print advertisements and maybe having a print ad budget, that's very, very hard to track. It's really hard to know if the newspaper ad you put out actually created any return. Digital ads are much easier to track. It's a lot more clear whether or not you're receiving return on that investment. And so even if you have to pull some money out of any print ad budget you have to create a digital ad budget, absolutely worth it. And we would say one of the top 5 things you should be doing right now. So that budget is something you need to make happen.
You won't even see in the current research, Amy, you would not even see newspaper advertising coming up on the list at all for home care. And if you just do a simple comparison, if I were to say, for instance, spend $700, I could not get a very big newspaper ad for $700.
Right.
And it would be on page 12 in the middle of the page next to Joe's Tire Mart. But for $700 on Facebook, I can reach 20, 30, 40,000 people. And I will know exactly who clicked, and I'll have people on my landing page. So there's a much better return when we approach it this way. And some of these traditional advertising methods, the truth is newspapers are now selling digital ads, and there's a reason. They're trying to keep some of their market share.
That's right. Don't be duped by those newspaper digital ads.
That's right.
They're not worth it. And it goes without saying, but make sure that your digital ads are performing well. Set someone to go in there every day if you have to. I wouldn't leave it more than a couple days and see what's going on, tweak things, make sure that it's doing what you need it to do. One of the best ways to actually get the return on the investment is to stay on top of it and make sure it's effective. Otherwise, you will end up blowing your money without a lot of return. The last thing you want to make sure that you get familiar with is Facebook Business Manager. Boosting has become a little bit more targeted than it used to be. It used to be that you would just sort of boost and it would just sort of do whatever it wanted. Now you can choose an audience, which is great, but I wouldn't spend more than $10 boosting. If you're going to have any kind of budget at all, you need to learn the back end of Facebook. Honestly, it's a terrible platform. We don't love Facebook's Business Manager, but it is powerful. And so take time to learn. It's a great place actually to get some coaching or to have someone walk alongside you and help you learn how to be efficient in there.
Great insights. Another thing that's really significant is to stay on top of building your referral base. And of course, during these market disruptions like we've had, things can get much more difficult. It was already difficult to get in front of a hospital discharge planner. It's very challenging, but even now it's even harder. So here's some ideas about how you can continue building your referral base. Here are some of the top plays for home care. First of all, it's really important that you get listed in the local referral directories. We've got 411 listed here, but in most cases it's a 211, which is run by the United Way. Make sure you're in that one and you're up to date. Make sure you are in the local service, the CSB, Community Service Board's referral. Make sure you're in the Area Center on Aging's referral list. Make sure you're on the Mental Health Association's referral list. Anyone else that has a referral list, get on it, because people are calling these numbers and they're getting referrals all the time. So make sure you're listed there. Secondly, when we think about home care, the top share of all referrals for home care in 2019 came from the Area Centers on Aging. So these local nonprofits that are the actual aging authority in your community, they're making a huge number of referrals. It's important to get to know them. Since they're nonprofits, there's lots of ways that you can help them out. You can participate in their fundraisers, be supportive and be engaged, but make sure that they're learning about you. And then the last one is make sure you get to know case managers that are in other places in your nonprofit space. So there's lots of case managers. They all have two big characteristics. They want to make easy referrals that are not hard. And number two, they want to feel good about the referral that they made. They don't want to wonder if it was risky or a problem. So get to know those case managers. We used to do some case management outreach work, and boy, we would bring birthday cakes to some of those case managers or cupcakes, and we would celebrate their achievements, give them certificates. So really give them some attention, and it'll pay off for you.
How about referral building?
So some more ways to do that would be make sure that you have a single page on your website that is designed for case managers that has everything that they need to make a referral to you. All the information they need, any kind of codes, special phone numbers, forms. Make sure that they have that link and make it a short link. If you don't know how to make up a short link, look online how to make a short link. Give them a short link so they can go to that page and make referrals, make it as easy as humanly possible. When you do get a referral, make sure you follow up as fast as humanly possible with that case manager to make sure that you're letting them know that you are on it, that you are a reliable place to send referrals. And then make sure you're tending to the quality of the referred experiences, because word gets back and case managers are risk adverse. They do not want to send cases to places where they get some feedback that, boy, that was a mistake, why did you do that? Also, think about the softer kinds of referrals. We have a warning on our screen, I'm not sure why. That's not part of the slides, but it's just a bonus. Free bonus.
I don't know what I clicked. Sorry.
So make sure you're showing some real love to the softer referral opportunities. So these are all the case managers in your community that are unsung, they're unknown, they just answer the phone and help people out. The more you build connections with them, the more referrals you'll get. And here's a big tip for getting engaged with the hospital. So hospital discharge planners are very significant when it comes to making referrals out. And they're challenging to get in front of, especially now when things are locked down. So make sure that you are participating in hospital events, nonprofit events that they're running, fundraisers, causes that they're involved in, educational events, symposiums. Go to all of it and make sure you are involved in what the hospital is doing so that they begin to understand that you are really someone that they can trust. I'd also make sure that the way your brand is being presented on your website, business cards, collateral is extremely professional. And that makes a difference for the hospital discharge planner as well.
That's great. We had a local restaurant that was serving our emergency room staff for many weeks. And so this came in and they started to sponsor these daily meals. And of course that was a response to COVID, but That kind of action, you know, going in and doing a monthly meal where you're just bringing some food by and being a sponsor to something like that. Those are great ways to serve the people that are serving, you know, they're serving the same people you want to serve. So
And also, you know, the hospitals have lots of different units as well. They often own different medical practices. So you can look at the circle of relationships in the hospital, gerontology practices, oncology practices, vein practices. All of those might be connected to the hospital. And there's lots of opportunities to build a reputation and relationships that go beyond just sitting in front of the discharge planner. So keep in mind all those opportunities.
that's great. So how about number 5, automation, multiplying your time, which is like crucial.
Yeah, so to be really effective you know, in this season and in the future, you've got to meet these 2 goals. The first one is you've got to reach people who express interest within 5 to 60 minutes of when they express that interest. If they fill out a form, if they leave a message, you have to reach them in 5 minutes if you can. If you do within 5 minutes, you're going to be, you know, better than 93% of all other companies. And this is a huge benefit for you to reach them quickly. But it requires automation to make sure that you've got the message that someone has expressed interest as fast as possible, no matter where you are, particularly on your mobile device. The second thing is, if you want to help people move from just being interested to making a decision to say yes to your company, then you've got to deliver information that's valuable to them, not once or twice, but 8 times. So it's important that you have multiple nurturing emails and text messages and videos that are being delivered to them. That requires automation too. Otherwise, we've got a task here that's almost impossible. So let's look at a couple more thoughts about automation and how we can leverage it. We want to see websites that are built on automation and not just kind of a little bit connected on the side. So here's a couple of areas of automation. Number 1, sales automation relies upon having a CRM, a customer relationship manager. If you're not using a customer relationship manager that you like and you're using it all the time, you need to, because it's the only way you can drive this automation effectively. And we, by the way, can give you a CRM for free. Yes, it's really free, truly forever. There's no hidden cost. You can just use it. And there's a link on the next slide which will show you can get that for free from us. And the reason you want to use it is because you want your notifications to follow you. You want to be able to see on your mobile device that someone has asked for information. You can open that and call them right then. Secondly, you want to be able to keep notes about what you said right on your mobile device. That requires a CRM. You want to make sure that anyone else that talks to them has also made notes. Once again, requires a CRM. The other area is personalization. Effective marketing, whether it's a phone call or an email or a text message or even a web page, requires personalization. And you can only personalize to people if you have information about what they're doing online and the interactions you've had. So sales automation relies upon a CRM. There's a lot more we could talk about with sales automation. It makes a huge difference in how people open your emails and respond to you. Another area where automation can help you is to multiply your communication channels. It's just not enough just to have a phone number and a form on your contact page. People want to communicate with you in the way that's most comfortable to them. That means you've got to offer as many communication channels as you can. You should be able to offer Facebook Messenger chats, live chat, pre-developed chat bots, SMS or text messaging, email communications, video email. All those channels will multiply your ability to reach people and for them to reach you to start that conversation. But to do that, you got to use automation. So when you get the CRM from us for free, you'll see some ways to automate this stuff. We're happy to talk to you about that some more. But we encourage you, these 5 tips are ways that you can move your marketing forward no matter what's going on in the world around you. These are solid things for you to be doing. We'd love to talk to you some more. We'd love to answer questions by email. You can make an appointment using the link below, whether it's for the CRM or to ask another question. And we're always happy to answer questions. We want to make sure you're doing the best you can because what you're doing is so important. So thanks for joining us for this workshop today. We hope it's helpful to you. And please reach out if we can help you in any way.
Thanks, guys.